Hi, my name is Ajay. I'm a musician and pianist and teacher. I used to have a website, but I'm taking it down. I'm documenting all my blogs on the website in this video playlist. Enjoy. This blog is about how I teach my students to compose. Since I started learning jazz music, I've been encouraging my students to improvise and compose. And I think around 20 of my students have sent up their compositions in their exam entries. So I'll talk a little bit about that. In a usual Trinity exam, you have to play some scales, some arpeggios, some exercises, and there are three pieces. Out of the three pieces, two of them have to be from the book, and one piece can be an own composition. So I've asked my students to always compose and send up their compositions, and I came about this idea by accident. So I had a student named Hia, and she was doing a grade 3 exam, and there I made a small mistake in teaching her the pieces correctly. So I did teach her three pieces, but one of the pieces was not in the syllabus. She had already made a video, and it was time for her to send up that composition, send up the video. Okay, when I realized it, we had only a couple of days left till the submission closed down. It was an online exam. So I just called her up. I was like, okay, there is one way out of it. You had composed a composition. You had composed something a year ago. It was your own composition, simple one. Okay, we had kept in mind that it's a grade 1 level composition. But I was like, let's put it up. Let's see what happens. So I told her, you play your two pieces, and the third piece will be your own composition, because we did not have time to learn another grade 3 piece. So I asked her to redo the video with these changes, and she did that in about a day or two, because this was a composition she knew, because it was her own composition, and the examiner loved it. Great comments, and she scored really well in her grade 3 exam, even if the composition was a grade 1 level composition. So since then, I've encouraged students to include their compositions in exam videos, and they've always the Trinity examiners have always appreciated the effort and creativity. I do guide them to make sure the piece fits the grade level, but when they create something of their own, the confidence and excitement they feel is priceless. So, okay, this next tune is by Jay. It was called Dancing Boy. Jay composed it for his grade 1 exam. And Jay is my only recorder student. And how we came about this tune was, I had given him homework, okay? You have to get some ideas for me. So, and he didn't get that idea. Sometimes kids do homework, sometimes they don't. But he came to class one day, he was just whistling a tune. So I was like, have you done your composition homework? He was like, no. And I was like, what is this idea? He was like, no, I was just randomly whistling that. I was like, let's make a composition out of it. And we transcribed that tune and put some piano accompaniment on it, and it got him 92% for his recorder exam. So that was one success story. And many such stories I do have. I think I have some, and anyway, but I'll explain the process that I follow when I introduce the composition till it goes for the exam. So when they are about to start their composition for the very first time, I tell them, like I said in my earlier blog also, do you remember your first drawing? You scribbled, you didn't have anything in mind, but you just doodled aimlessly. But that made you realize, okay, if I play this, this sounds good. If I play this, it sounds bad, etc., etc. All that. And then I make the musical analogy, and then I give them 2 minutes to just explore. No scales, no chords, no rules, just curiosity. Some of them get it very nicely, some of them struggle with that idea. They take some time to get comfortable with that, and I ask them to try the same thing at home and bring me back two musical ideas. Even if it is very simple, perfect. Actually, simple ideas are good because you can build on them. Then, so Trinity has a guideline PDF where they say, okay, if it's a grade 2 composition, it has to be in, like, let's say D major, B flat major scale. It has to have some scale passages. It has to have a melody line. It has to be around 1 minute long, 1 to 1.5 minutes long, and so on. There are different criteria. So after we compose, or during the composition process, I take care of the fact that we are meeting all those guidelines. So when they get an idea, oh, actually some of them have difficulty getting one idea also, because it's difficult initially. So I tell them, try different ideas. Out of 20, you will perhaps like only one. That one idea is enough to build a composition. I give them some examples, I improvise for them a little bit. Then of course I've written about the exam guidelines. So this is a composition made by, I think, Zidane. He has made a composition about football. Then this one is a grade 2 composition. I don't remember, but it has a nice bass line going pum 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 pum, octaves going on while the tune is playing. I don't know who was the composer of this though. Okay, then when they have an idea, when the composition starts taking shape, I open up MuseScore and I start writing it down for them. And of course, it's a very collaborative process. I take most of their inputs and I let them take the lead, but I do the documentation work. And this is a good process because it tells them how their musical ideas look on paper. A lot of times their ideas look very scary to read also. So that is when I tell them, so you don't need to be scared of a piece next time it looks scary, because a scary looking piece doesn't mean that it is that difficult to play, because your idea you can play very well, but it looks like this. So it's like the other way around also. If it's a scary looking piece, it might not be very difficult to play that. This is probably Aidan's piece, the next one. This piece was called A Visit to Croydon, his hometown. So he was like, okay, there's like honking cars, it's very noisy, so I want to write a piece about that. So we played some dissonant sounds, and that is how the second line came to be. And then the next one is a grade 4 piece written by a keyboard student. That's why there are a lot of chord symbols on top. She went really deep into the sounds. I think this was Bhavi. And unique piece, it sounds different, rarely follows the rules of traditional harmony. I was very proud of the fact that she didn't follow traditional harmony, because that is what I wanted, just explore different sounds. So yeah, I don't know if she actually sent this up for her exam, but it was a good composition. I don't know if he finished it also, because a lot of times we start a composition, but the composition doesn't see the end result a lot of times, but I try to make sure it does. Yeah, the next one is also for an electronic keyboard exam. I think this was Mitali's composition. Oh no, the next one is Mitali's. This one I don't remember who it was. I think it was Shlok probably. A 1-6-4-5 progression, and he made a nice fast tune on it, and he used like brass sounds and all. He was very creative with his compositions and playing. Next one, yeah, like I said, Mitali's composition. It was very tarap tarap tap tarap. We had a tough time noting down the rhythm of it, because she could play it very well with the beats, but she could not read this and play, because it had 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and it was a tricky rhythm. So we took some time till we finished the composition. The outcome over the years, my students who've chosen to compose pieces have always scored above 90%. Examiners value this effort and originality, and it's one of a kind composition. Every student has their own imagination, their own experiences. So every product that comes out is also unique. And also I like to encourage that aspect of their music. Students have composed about rain, their pets, some car ride that they went on, special memories, some dark themes like horror or mysterious endings, different topics. I never interfere with their musical ideas. My role is to simply guide them towards shaping the piece and helping them document it. Sometimes students start by freely exploring sounds and letting music take shape before giving it a name. Usually they are named, the piece is named much later into the composition. Sometimes it starts with a very clear idea and then we compose around it. Either way, the result is always something personal or unique. A note to teachers at the end: every student can and should compose. As teachers, we should encourage this creativity. It's also worth learning to use sheet music software like MuseScore. There are many more, but MuseScore is the free one, so I use that a lot, and I'm very comfortable with that nowadays. It's an essential skill today, and it opens up a world of possibilities for both teachers and students. Then I'm like, if I can be of any help to you, reach out. Happy composing.